Okay, so when this video came out, I mean, I'll play just a second of it. All right, this is a pretty funny video. The pit bull is a nice touch. Um, you know, I get where he's coming from, but I have to say something, sort of in defense of, not in defense, but just off for like, they're not talking about this enough. Uh, the reason why there's so many homeless people in Portland and on the West Coast, well, in general, is because that they're shipping them out here. There's two things going on. They're shipping them out here, and from red states and other blue states, perhaps. And it's also like a natural thing because obviously, if you don't have a place, like if you're living in your car, why would you want to be like in the Midwest when you can be somewhere where you're not going to freeze to death? So, you know, there's economic problems in America that are being dumped on the West Coast and sort of blamed on the West Coast. Now, our policies don't help. Portland certainly had some really stupid policies. I am so glad I didn't live there for 2020 to 2021 to yeah. I am so glad I don't live there anymore. But the homeless people are getting shipped out. That's one factor. Two in the area, and we're just freaking shuffling them around. They just go like from one, like you get a camp, it gets going, people go there, and then people get tired of it. The NIMBY starts, and then they break it up, and then they just end up somewhere else, like probably where I live. Um, Often that happens. So they just ship them out here, and like nobody wants to do something real about it. Everybody just wants to point the finger and blame each other. I say build more housing. If we have a housing problem, build more housing. But that's just. I know there's plenty of housing in places where people either don't want to live or can't find a job. I mean, if you want to go like there's parts of the country where there's houses, but there's a reason why they're $15,000 for a house. But still, people have done it, and that's Then there's the other factor that's sort of like the elephant in the room, and I refused to be part of this problem. Like I didn't want to live in Portland and just destroy it with tech money. So I'm happy I left. Plus, I didn't want to be like working that hard. But like people that live in Portland and they hear me bash it, they think I'm just a hater, and I left because I couldn't afford it. And it's like, no, I saw the writing on the wall. I didn't want to work. I don't want to die at 50 of a heart attack because I was working at 80-hour weeks or something to try and maintain some retarded lifestyle that and all the stress of the town it just wasn't for me anymore. So I decided to leave, and I'm so glad I did. So the other factor, yeah, is this tech money that has poured in, and there isn't a city on the planet that wouldn't want more money and more jobs. But at the same time, as good as that has been for the numbers on the books, people who were born in Portland have a difficult time finding a place to live because all this tech money pours in and the rents go sky high. And so it kind of ruins the local scene. Like all the cool people you used to hang out with that maybe aren't tech savvy are able to earn three times the minimum wage or something, but they're cool nonetheless. Get screwed and they end up having to leave, or they end up like couch surfing, or they end up like in really shitty situations for living. They end up in these like whatever they can do, right? So the locals though end up getting screwed. So I refused to be part of that problem. I always like lived my talk. Like when my better half couldn't find a job in Portland, strangely enough, even though she could find one in Beaverton anytime she wanted. I don't know why. I think maybe because her name sounds like she's black. That's kind of weird. She's not. She's mixed race, but still, they think that I don't know. It just seemed weird that she could not find a job in Portland for like 2 years. Like that just. I mean, I know there's a recession at the time, but she could find one in Beaverton like that, like one phone call. So I just moved to Beaverton and then moved out back out here to where I am now. But anyway, in Beaverton's got the same problem with this tech money. It's just so expensive now because I mean I don't know where it's at now. I think rents are starting to come down. Things are kind of cooling off. But I mean, it's been that's a long time to wait for the rent to come down. So this guy's video is funny. He hits on some points, but this whole bashing the West Coast thing is ignoring an elephant in the room. The economic situation of this country is very dire, and they're papering over it. People are there's a lot of people getting just fucking crushed by it. I lucked out in it, sorta. It kicked my ass too. I had to like navigate a very difficult situation too. I mean, like I've been poor before. Not, actually, I've had some rough times even during the Trump era, believe it or not. One of my worst years recently was during Trump. I mean, I don't blame him for it. It was more of a thing at my just where a business situation where it's just a rough year. But yeah, but I got through it. But yeah, I was working like 10 hours a week. That's pretty bad. And then I was just trying to do something else trying to freelance it to cover up to make up for it. It was not easy at all. I did learn some shit though about freelancing and what it's really like and how people try to scam you. But I just think it's unfair to totally blame the West Coast for the problems that we have. I mean, like, what do you want us to do with these people? Just put them on a Greyhound bus back to Chicago or something? No, we're not. I mean, we're going to try. We don't know what to do. It's a tough situation. I mean, I know what to do. Let's build more housing. I mean, just deregulate housing to such an extent. That's another problem that Portland does have. They have these extreme, Oregon in general, and in Portland too. They have just all these extreme regulations. If you want to build anything, it's gonna it's a pain. It's really hard. So like, I'll give you an example. There's a county in California where it's $15,000 just to start a building permit. And this isn't even like in a prime area of California. This is like kind of the desert and shit. So and the ghetto. So like that's just one example. There's like a guy. I remember a guy in Portland who wanted a stop sign because he saw a corner near his house and he thought it would be a good idea to put a stop sign there. So he went to a city council meeting and he suggested it. And like all he got was like they're like, oh, great idea. And then they like slapped him with a bunch of fines, or they slapped him with a bunch of like freaking like they sent him a bill for the safety study for the like if it's a good idea, do it. What's wrong with the stop sign in the right place? That can be very helpful for people. It could save a life. And how expensive is it to put a stop sign there? I mean, I guess you should kind of study it what would happen, but you should have somebody there that's like that knows what's up, and they could tell you. I don't know. There's probably somebody who's put stop signs in and seen the consequences or whatever. I don't know. I don't think it needs a major study. Just like basically take a look and have somebody approve or disapprove, and then do it. And why charge a citizen who just wants to like make his city better? So yeah, there are problems with Portland, definitely, and they're Portland's fault. The defund the police thing was horrifically stupid. You can address police brutality without defunding the police. I mean, replace it with what? RoboCops? I mean, what do you guys want? No, I mean the police situation is rough, but there are problems, but you can address that without defunding the police. So yeah, so I will blame Portland for some things, but and thank God we didn't pull that shit down here, and yeah, it's safer. So but it's not fair to just completely blame. That we have to address the whole of the matter, not just fucking blame West Coast because you're jealous of their weather or whatever. There's a lot of that going on. So, and you're also fucking jealous of our weed because it's way fucking better. Onlymids.co, onlymids.co, onlymids.co.